One day, in Judge Frank Caprio's courtroom, a woman showed up and started being rude to him right away. She said, "I won't pay the fine. Do whatever you want." Judge Caprio calmly told her that he could make a payment plan so it'd be easier for her to pay, but her behavior was still very disrespectful. She kept saying, "Do whatever you want. I'm not paying." For the first time, the judge, who was known all over the world for kindness and compassion, got angry in court. That case was never published as official proceedings, but Judge Caprio later mentioned it in his book. What happened after that moment completely changed his life forever. Welcome back to Who Is He videos. Who would have thought that a boy who polished shoes while going to school would one day be called the world's nicest judge? Watching Judge Caprio's rulings, it's hard to imagine how much pain was hidden behind his smiling, compassionate face. Frank Caprio served as chief judge of the Providence Municipal Court in Rhode Island from 1985 to 2023 to 38 years of justice. He became famous through the reality TV show Caught in Providence, where cases about traffic violations came before him: speeding, running red lights, illegal parking. But instead of being harsh, Judge Caprio always tried to handle cases with humor, compassion, and kindness. Sometimes he would even let children of the defendants decide the ruling, turning the courtroom into a cheerful place. Sometimes he hugged defendants, sharing their pain. One day, a 96-year-old man appeared in his court, accused of speeding in a school zone. When Judge Caprio asked why, the man's eyes filled with tears. He explained that he was rushing his 63-year-old son to the hospital because his son had blood cancer. Without wasting a second, Judge Caprio wished him well and dismissed the case without a fine. That kind of compassion was praised not only in America, but around the world. Many judges in other countries even called Caprio their role model, but behind that smile was a painful story that shaped who he became. After his retirement in 2023, Judge Caprio was diagnosed with cancer. Around the same time, he began writing his book Compassion in the Court, which was published in 2025. The roots of his compassion go back to his grandparents. When they immigrated from Italy to Providence, they were poor and uneducated. His grandfather sold fruit from a cart to survive. One day, after drinking with friends, he was arrested. Caprio's grandmother borrowed money from neighbors, went to court, and in broken English tried to pay the judge to release her husband. With her was their little son Tip, who knew a little English. The judge called Tip over and told him to take his parents home. His grandmother left, blessing the judge all the way. That little boy, Tip, grew up to be Frank Caprio's father. "Caprio, always said, even though this happened long before I was born, when I see immigrants in my court, I remember my grandparents and try not to let them suffer." His father, Antonio Tip Caprio Jr., had a very tough life. The family lived in a one-room apartment with no hot water. He had to quit school in 7th grade to help earn money. Many times, they didn't even have cotton for their empty pockets. As Frank later wrote, Frank Caprio was born on November 24, 1936. He grew up in that one-room apartment with his parents. If they wanted to bathe, they had to walk miles. His father struggled through the Great Depression and finally got work delivering milk. Little Frank helped him from a young age. At age 8, Frank delivered milk to the home of a rich classmate. The smell of toast filled the air, and Frank thought he might be invited inside. Instead, he saw the boy crying at the breakfast table while his father scolded him, saying, "Be grateful. Otherwise, you'd be like that boy out there carrying milk in the snow." Frank never forgot those words, and 80 years later, he wrote them in his book. The family was so poor that Frank and his brother had to share the same blanket at night, the same blanket used during the day to cover milk bottles from freezing. Sometimes mice came to lick the cream, and little Frank would lie awake in fear. At 16, his father put a hand on his shoulder and said, "One day you'll be a lawyer, but remember, never take money from the poor." Frank worked hard to deliver milk, newspapers, waiting tables, polishing shoes, even setting bowling pins while finishing high school. Later, he studied at Providence College, one of only 2 of his 45 cousins to make it that far. He dreamed of studying law at Boston University, but the tuition was too expensive, so he worked as a teacher by day and went to law school at night. One painful memory stayed with him forever. After a ride home from a classmate, the boy saw Frank's shabby apartment building and said, "If you want to be a successful lawyer, you can't live in a place like this." Frank thanked him politely, but carried that sting for life. He later entered politics and even ran for attorney general, but opponents falsely accused him of ties to organized crime, forcing him out. He returned to law practice. Then one day, while having lunch, he got a call from the mayor of Providence. A municipal court judge had been transferred, leaving a vacancy. The mayor told Frank, "I think you're perfect for this job." It was one of the happiest moments of his life. His parents were proud too. His father, who never missed one of Frank's wrestling matches, was there on the very first day he sat as judge. The first case was a woman with hundreds of dollars in parking tickets. She immediately argued and said, "I won't pay. I have kids to take care of." Judge Caprio put her on a payment plan, but she still refused, saying, "I don't care what you do, I won't pay." For the first time, Judge Caprio got angry. He ordered a boot on her car until the fines were paid. After court, his father scolded him. How will she take her kids to school or buy groceries now? That moment became a turning point in Frank Caprio's life. From then on, he decided never to give a ruling without first thinking about how it would affect the family. He said, "My father's scolding taught me more than 5 years of law school." Later, he even set up a donation fund, named after his mother, called the Fund to help people who couldn't afford fines. His brother Joe loved filming and convinced him to record court proceedings. That became the TV show Caught in Providence. It first aired on local cable but later spread worldwide on the internet, making Judge Caprio famous for his compassion. After serving 38 years, Judge Caprio retired in January 2023. A few months later, he revealed he was battling cancer. On August 20, 2025, he was seen in a hospital bed, asking his fans for prayers. The very next day, August 21, 2025, Judge Frank Caprio passed away. He left behind not just memories of a courtroom, but lessons in kindness, compassion, justice, and controlling anger.